What we're going to do is create a puppet pin animation, really simple one using a starfish character. It's going to just take a couple of minutes and it should just give you an introduction to using puppet pins. We're just going to create a new composition, so you're going to click on the new composition icon. The default settings of HDTV 1080-25 is fine. My duration I'm going to just leave it. I'll just make this 5 seconds, so I'm going to put in 0.5 there and click OK. I can change my background color here by just doing Command K on a Mac or Control K on a PC. I can change the name, I can change the color here, so I'm going to make it sort of a sandy color-ish, green or blue. I always go for blue. And just going to click OK there and OK again, and then that'll give me the color I want in the background. I'm going to go to File and Import File, and I'm going to select my starfish PNG, which has an alpha channel already in it. I'm going to drag that onto the timeline, and I'm just going to hold down Shift, and that should just click it so that it starts on frame 0, and you can see the frames here. Just as in Photoshop, I can hold down my spacebar and pan around by using the hand tool, and I can tap on the spacebar and that will give me my preview animation there. To rescale this, I'm just going to click on a corner and drag. If I hold down Shift, it'll drag, it'll scale in a uniform manner. If I don't hold down Shift, then it won't be uniform. So I'm just going to hold down Shift for this. Now to add the puppet pins, I'm going to add 5 puppet pins, 1 for each corner and then just 1 in the middle. So I'm going to use the puppet pin position tool, which is this one here. Going to click in the corners and you can see it automatically sets those in place, and just 1 in the middle. Now if I go to my starfish PNG and I look at the attributes, so I'm just going to close those. I'll open them up by clicking on the triangle there, and you can see in effects there, well, there's a new effects layer. Part of the attributes has been added. Normally it would just say transform, but in this case you've got effects in there. Going to click on the triangle and you can see that unrolls all the effects in there, and I can see all of the parts of the puppet pins under puppet. In here I can see the mesh, and that's where my keys will be, under mesh 1 and deform, and my keys are there. If I just move the time slider out of the way, I can see the keys are there. I do need to go into each of the puppet pins by clicking on the little triangle, the little bracket there, and you can see that the puppet pins are accessible there. I keyframed it on frame 0. If I didn't, I could just drag select those keys, and I can move them around just like any keys in an After Effects composition. They're just the same, they behave in exactly the same way. Now to move this, I'm going to move to half a second, and I'm going to move this tentacle. I've got my puppet pin tool selected, so I'm going to just click on one of them, and I'm just going to drag that, and you can see that it stretches. The reason it stretches is because there's an invisible mesh. I can turn that on there so you can see the mesh that was created, and you can see that basically it's deforming this mesh. So if I just move the time slider backwards and forwards, you can see how the mesh deforms. I'm going to turn that mesh visibility off. The mesh is still there, I just can't see it. And I'm also going to keyframe everything else. So I'm going to keyframe all the other puppet pins. If I don't do that, then it means that every time I move one of these tentacles, the puppet pins will all sort of slide. They won't stay where they are. I want these tentacles to stay where they are while this tentacle is moving forward. If I animate another one, like this one over here at frame 1, and I hadn't put a keyframe here halfway through, like half a second, then both the tentacles would start moving at frame 0, which wouldn't look quite right. So I've keyframed them all at half a second, and I'm also going to keyframe them all again by just clicking on the blue diamond at 1 second. So each time I move a tentacle, I'm keyframing all of the puppet pins. And I'll just do a couple more. So I'm going to move this one, going to keyframe them all, And finally, I'll just move this one just to show how this works. So if I just tap spacebar, you can see how the poppet pins all move around. Now this is a really quick intro. They do loads of can do loads of other things. We can attach them to nodes and stuff like that. All sorts of other interesting effects that we can get with poppet pins. But just for starters, just wanted to show you how the poppet pins can be added to an image and how you can keyframe them and move them around.